So as always, I'm going to start with your supplies. So first up, you are going to need a tumbler. For this template method to work, you have to use a 20-ounce straight stainless steel tumbler because measurement wise, it just will not work otherwise. So I have already prepped and painted mine, and then I dropped it on the floor. So it's looking a little bit sorry for itself, but that's what you're going to need. Then you are going to need whatever vinyl or printed vinyl that you're using on it. In this case, I'm using this one. This is from a lady called Hope. She runs a small business in America called Hopefully Created. If you are based in the UK, you can get this delivered to your address in the UK. If you have an account like a Stackry account, for example, that's how I get my stuff here. If you do not, you will not be able to get this from Hopefully Created because I believe she may have changed that actually now, but I believe she doesn't ship to the UK. So if you are in the US, Hopefully Created. If you're in the UK, get a Stackry account and you can get this shipped to yourself. If not, there are other places that sell printed vinyl. For example, Nay Aesthetics is a brilliant one. Her website is currently closed, so do not panic if you watch this and can't get onto her website. It's just because she is redesigning her website as we speak. So you will be able to find designs like this from Nay Aesthetics, but this is the one I'm using today. Then you are going to need whatever glitter you would like to use. I am using, oh, that's upside down. Everyone's going to hate me for that. It's just the way my shelves work, okay? So then you are going to need, oh no, that one's not upside down. It's one of the few that's the actual right way up. Anyway, you're going to need whatever glitter you're using. I would recommend a fine glitter rather than a chunky glitter for this one. So I'm using this. This is from my shop, the Little Isla Co, and it is called Mrs. Claus. It is just a classic Christmassy holographic red. You will also need whatever adhesive you want to use for your glitter. In this case, I'm using UV resin. Not everybody likes UV resin. You may not have any UV resin, or you may not have a UV lamp or much sun, especially considering we are getting close to Christmas now. But if you want to use UV resin, you can use UV resin. So I'm using this one. If not, you can use your regular glue, whatever regular glue you use to adhere your glitter. And then you're going to need whatever vinyl you would like to use for your pinstripes. I'm using this gold textured one. I believe this one was from Gotta Vinyl, which is no longer in operation, but I do think that Tech Wrap have a very, very similar one from memory. And then the other one I'm using is this one, which is from Tech Wrap. This one is called Coconut White, and it's just a plain white glossy vinyl. Then you are going to need whatever top coat you would like to use. So I know some people like to use epoxy, some people like to use epoxy free top coats. I have used this. This is Apex Resin Quantum Fast Set. It's my favorite one to use for projects like this. And then tools and accessories, you can just use scissors for this. You do not need fancy tools, but if you have a vinyl trimmer or a guillotine, you can use that. If not, obviously just use scissors. You will need some sort of squeegee or even a credit card. Not that I would recommend using your credit cards for your craft projects, but just something with a flat edge like this. Some sort of tape, like a masking tape. And I think that's everything. Aside from obvious things like your PPE for using epoxy, you will need gloves, nitrile gloves, a respirator, a cup turner, you know, the usual stuff if you're using epoxy or any other top coat. Make sure you're protecting your body and you have a good cup turner. So the first step that you do not need to measure this. This is the beauty of this project. You do not need any rulers or measurements or templates, anything. We are literally just going to do this by the power of what I can only call maybe algebra? What is it with all the triangles? No, it's not algebra at all, is it? Anyway, so your first step with your 12 by 12 inch sheet of vinyl is you need to fold it in half. First, actually, before you do that, if your vinyl comes with a border, like any sort of like edging around it, make sure you cut that off first. Mine came with a little like label almost. It was all part of the vinyl at the bottom, so I had to trim that off because it obviously added thickness onto the edge. So you have to make sure it is 12 by 12. So then once you've done that, the first thing you need to do is fold it in half, corner to corner. Try and do this as accurately as you can so that you get that perfect crease straight down the middle. Okay, so then once you have folded it in half, you can now use your vinyl trimmer or your scissors, and you're just going to cut along this line here. so that you will be left with the 2 triangles that we have created by folding it in half. I do believe most vinyl trimmers will not fit a piece of vinyl this wide once it is diagonal. So your best bet is to just cut straight along that line. Does not need to be perfect, so that you are left with your 2 triangles like this. So you should be left with 2 triangles that look like this. And then with your 2 triangles, you are just going to fold one of them in half again. So corner to corner. Literally just fold it so that you end up with a smaller triangle, and then we're going to do the same thing again, cut along that line that you've just created to create 2 more triangles. In this case, I'm going to use the trimmer just because it is smaller now, so I can. So then you will have 2 triangles that look like this. One of these now is going to be used as your first V split, or your first V. So then you just want to kind of eyeball where you want to put your first V. So I want to have it, you can have it either way up. So I want my V to be at the bottom, so I want the V's to be pointing down. If you want it the other way up, obviously it depends on your vinyl whether it would make sense. With this one it wouldn't, because it would be upside down, but depending on what design you're using, you could also do it that way up so that your V points upwards, whatever you prefer. Like I said, for this one I am going to be doing it this way up. So you just want to kind of position your vinyl. Sorry, I want to make sure you can see what I'm doing, make sure I'm in the frame. So you want to position your vinyl like this so that you can see how it's going to sit. And if you're happy with that, then you can go ahead and put on your first V. When I position, this is worth noting, when I position any vinyl at the bottom of the tumbler, I tend to do it with either a teeny tiny gap, like a millimetre gap between the bottom of the vinyl and the bottom of the tumbler, or I have like an edge trimmer that will take off however much I want to expose the bit at the bottom. And that is just so that when you epoxy over it, the epoxy is adhering to the tumbler and not to the vinyl. So then when it comes to adhering the vinyl to the tumbler, what I tend to do is peel off a tiny bit of the backing of the vinyl, maybe like a couple of centimetres, and literally just snip that off so that you are left with a teeny tiny little bit of it exposed. And once you are happy that it is going to sit right and you've got all your points in the right places, you can just place that tiny little bit down so that you know it's going to be in place and it will not move now. And then you can start to slowly but surely peel off the back. And this is where your squeegee comes in handy, because this will ensure that you do not have bubbles in your vinyl as you peel it off and wrap it around the tumbler. You don't have to do it this way, but I just find that this is the most efficient way to ensure smooth application. And even doing it this way, you can still see there are still a bit of like overlap at the bottom there, which I did not want. So I will go ahead later and use my edge trimmer just to tidy up the bottom of that bottom edge, just so it is completely neat and straight. But that is your first V applied to the tumbler. So then let's make the second one. So then to make the second V, you're going to use that piece of backing that we just tore off. Ignore the fact that there is a bit cut off there. Let's just pretend that wasn't there. You're going to use this piece of backing to measure against the other half of that triangle. So just to go back a step, when you had your 12 by 12 sheet, we cut it into 2 triangles like this by folding it in half. And then we folded it in half again, and that size is the piece that we have just put on the tumbler. So So this whole, the rest of this whole other half, you can just toss that aside for now and use it on another tumbler. I was just trying to recover the steps. So this is the other half of that smaller triangle that we've just put on here. So you want to use this piece of vinyl now. The backing that you have just peeled off that vinyl, we're going to do that again and fold it in half exactly like we did before. Literally just fold that piece of backing in half. You can cut this now, but there's no point because you've got the size triangle you need. So then all you're going to do is line this up on top of the remaining half of the vinyl, the other triangle. And you want to make sure that the points all line up. So again, you do not need to measure this, but if you want to just check that the triangle points meet, you can do that. So you're essentially using the backing of the vinyl as your template. I said this is so easy and now I can't get them to line up. Okay. So once you're happy with the placing of the backing, just get a little bit of tape. Just to, maybe there, just to keep that in place. And again, you do not need any fancy machinery. You literally just cut along the line of that backing. Don't worry if you cut over the tape for now, because we're going to take that off in a minute. So we can get that piece of tape off. Just be careful it doesn't leave any residue. This is why I suggest using like painter's tape or masking tape, because it is less likely to leave any sticky residue. So this now is going to be your second V. So you're just going to do exactly the same process as you did before to apply this one. And it's up to you how much of a gap you leave between your previous V. Like, I guess it depends on how many splits you want to do. So I'm only going to do, I think I'm going to do this one, maybe one more. But so you want to, in my experience, you want to keep these quite close together, because the further of a gap, like the bigger of a gap that you create, the less space obviously there then is for the next one. So I tend to keep these quite close. So maybe like there. To keep it in place, just get another little bit of your trusty masking tape. And then you can just do the same thing as we did before. So just peel back the vinyl. Of course, it doesn't want to peel when I'm doing this on camera.
3 hours later.
Oh my God, 3 hours later. Right, we have peeled it back. So same thing again. We're going to peel the vinyl back and trim off the backing so that you can then just flatten that bit down and adhere that onto, adhere that onto the tumbler. Don't worry too much right now about where it lands. I'm so sorry, so much of that was just out of the frame. Okay, so V number 2 is on. So then, sorry, that was one thing I should have mentioned in the beginning that you might need that will come in helpful is a X-Acto knife or any kind of like scalpel knife, anything like that. Because what you will be able to do with that is just take off these little extra parts that have met here. So I'm going to do one more V. So then same process again. So we're just going to take the last piece of vinyl that was cut off from the other triangle, and that backing piece that we used before to create that V, what we're gonna do is fold it in half again, literally just folding triangles in half this whole time. So then we're going to use this as the template to make the final V. So same process again, we are literally just going to tape that down. Once you're happy that you have got the points exactly in the middle. And then just tape that down so that you can cut around it again. See, no measuring. Just trying to make sure I get this piece of tape off carefully. And then we're going to do the same process again. Place it wherever you want it to go. Again, I want to keep them I want to keep the distances about as equal as I possibly can. So I think like that. So I'm just going to show you another way that you can apply this vinyl, like not having to do the steps that I did before where you cut off the backing. If you are confident enough, you can literally just peel it off its backing, line it up where you want it, and then just lay down each side of the vinyl and wrap it around. But you just have to be careful doing it this way because, as you can see, it is very easy for it to go awry. So you have to be quite precise. Okay, and then same thing again, you just need to take your X-Acto knife and get rid of these teeny tiny pieces. Okay, we are now on to the final piece of the puzzle. So you don't have to do anything with this. You could leave this open. You could have left this piece off and put like a decal on there, whatever you want to do. For the purpose of this tutorial, I am going to fill in this gap just to show you that you can just keep going and going for all the while you have space. So this is that final piece of vinyl left. So once again, we're just going to cut this, or sorry, fold this over in half. So we have a little baby triangle, and then we're just going to do shock horror, same thing again, and just cut straight down the middle. And then you will be left with two even teenier tiny. So I'm going to use this piece because I think that looks, is that the best? Or would it be that one? No, this one. That one looks better. So then, same process, we are just going to apply this piece of vinyl. You can do, again, the tape, snip and wrap round, or because this is so small, I think this piece, in my opinion, is just easier to just eyeball it and lay it down. You can measure it, but so this is what you will be left with. Once all your pieces of vinyl are on, you will have yourself a V-split or triple V-split tumbler. So the next step is to get the glitter on into these gaps. And the reason I said that I'm using UV resin is just pure and simply because you can use a really small paintbrush and apply the world's thinnest coat of resin on there. And then you can just cure it, and then you can do the same again to seal it if you want to. I tend to seal it with UV resin, and then you are good to go with epoxy. So let's get this all taped up so we protect that vinyl that we've just put on, and then we can get the glitter on. So at this point, if you are using UV resin, feel free to follow along with the tutorial. If you wanted to use glue, then obviously you can pause this or fast forward through this part until we get to the next stage. Okay, so then once you have a monstrosity that looks something like this, completely taped up, don't worry about, I haven't covered this bottom bit because obviously we're not going to be putting the glitter anywhere near it, but once your vinyl is completely covered and safe from the glitter and vinyl and everything else, glitter and resin, I mean, you can get going. So the way that I like to do this is to just apply the teeniest, when I tell you the teeniest, tiniest, like that. I don't know if the camera's going to pick that up, it's that tiny. The teeniest, tiniest little pea-sized amount. And then all you're going to do is just basically brush it on so that you can see the shine. It doesn't need to have any sort of thickness to it. It literally just needs to cover the area that you intend to then put your glitter. And the reason you want it to be that thin is so that you don't have problems when the glitter is trying to, the UV rays are trying to cure the resin through the glitter. You don't want loads and loads of resin. And side note, while you're doing this, if it is a sunny day where you are, please, please, please do not work near a window, because the UV rays, you would be surprised how strong they actually are. UV rays from the sun, they will come through your window and start curing the resin before you have had a chance to get the glitter on. And that is just, nobody needs that. So when that whole section is covered, you can either go straight in with your glitter for that section, or if you are confident that your resin is not going to start curing through the window, you can carry on and do the other sections as well. So I'm just going to quickly do those now. Then we can glitter. So I have managed to leave my glitter catching paper downstairs, so we're just going to work with this for now. So glitter pour, here we go. So this is Mrs. Claus from my website, thelittleisleco.com. This glitter is also available in a chunky mix. And that one is very popular for snow globe tumbler making and things like that. But this one is amazing for glitter tumblers. Just look at those holographic reflects. Right, I'm going to use my trusty little hammer thing that I got from Elva at this too. Obviously right now it looks a little bit of a hot mess, but just you wait. So it's up to you. I would not recommend curing the resin or allowing the glue to dry before you remove this tape, because if you do, you could end up with a real struggle to peel it off. You can leave it a few minutes if you want it to settle, but I'm just going to go straight in. Actually, I'm going to pour this glitter away first. That would be sensible, wouldn't it? Okay, let's try that again. Back to the peeling of the tape. I'm going to speed this up because this is just not exciting to watch. But you get the idea. When you peel up your tape, you will be left with nice, smooth lines of vinyl and glitter. obviously my camera battery chose that precise moment to die. But so this is what you will be left with once you've peeled all that tape off, or once if your glue has dried or your resin has cured, this is what you will be left with. So like I said, I am going to seal this again with another really like paper thin layer of UV resin, and that just means that when I then go in with the epoxy, it doesn't spread the glitter anywhere and you do not get little specks of glitter in your vinyl. If you have used glue, you can also seal it with glue or whatever you like to seal with, and then we can go in with epoxy. Okay, we are back. So I have sealed this in with UV resin. It is all completely cured. The way that you will know, if you've used UV resin, the way you will know that it is cured for sure is if you tap like this. If it feels tacky at all, it's not ready. If it feels like just solid plastic, then you know it is fully cured. So I have done that, and then I have just used a chip brush to basically just brush over the whole tumbler to get off any little stray bits of glitter so that we don't end up with those in the vinyl. So this is now ready to be epoxied. I am using the Apex Resin Quantum Fast Set. It is touch dry within about an hour and a half to 2 hours, and then it is fully cured after about 8 hours. So I will get the epoxy coat on now, and then once it's completely cured, I will come back and do the pinstriping with you. Right, so I'm using 20 mils. This particular resin is, we're not plugged in. Would be helpful if my turner was plugged in. Okay, there we go. So yeah, so the with Apex, it is advised that you use 1 to 1.5 milliliters of resin for every ounce of tumbler. So this is a 20-ounce tumbler, so I'm using 20 mils. And it will just glide on quite nicely because it's not going to get soaked in by loads and loads of glitter. So we don't really need the 1.5 mils per ounce. We can just stick to the 1. If you are in the UK and you would like to try Apex resin for yourself, you can get it from the Apex website. I will leave them linked in the description. And if you would like to use them, you can use them with 15% off your first order. And you can do that by using my code, which I will leave on the screen and in the description box as well. Right, this is now going to spin for around 2 hours until it is completely touch dry, and then, or maybe longer, and then I will sand it down and make sure it is completely smooth. Then I will come back and we will put on the pinstripes together before the final coat of epoxy. Okay, we are back, and you will notice this does look ever so slightly different to the one that we left on. Not a lot different, but it will look slightly different because it pains me to say, but I have actually developed an allergy or a sensitization to epoxy. I had a really bad reaction, and so I'm having to pause on using it for a little while. So in order to remake this, I have used an epoxy-free alternative. So I had to remake it all the way up to where we were when we left it before. So now we are at the point of the pinstripe, so we can actually get these on. So I have used 2 different vinyls for this. This one is a matte white from Tech Wrap Craft. Don't ask me the name of it. I think it's maybe coconut white, but I can't be sure on that. It's the matte white anyway from Tech Wrap. And then this is the other one I'm going to use. This is the textured gold, also from Tech Wrap. So for the gold one, I have used, what measurement did I do? I can't even remember my measurements now. I think I did 0.4 centimetres, so 4 millimetres wide and 28 centimetres long. And for the white one, I think I did 0.1. So I think this is 1 millimeter. And again, 28 centimeters long. And that is just because, I mean, you can see there will already be loads left over, but I'd rather have them too long than too short. So pinstriping is really, it's one of those things, in my opinion, you can't really get wrong. Like, you just have to do what you like. So I tend to do so my plan for the gold is we're going to have the outside of each of the V. So one here, same on the other side. And same with this one, same with this one. And then the white one, I haven't decided yet if I'm going to go above the V or below the V. But again, this is entirely your choice. It's personal preference, whatever you like to do. So I'm going to start with this one. I'm going to start at the top here. And the good thing is with these vinyls, they are quite like, what's the word I'm looking for? Flexible. Like, you can just kind of pull them about until you get them in the desired spot that you want them. That is not the one for me. I'm going to move it here. Don't worry, obviously, if you get a little bit that goes over like that. Right now, we are just trying to get the positioning. And when you're happy with the placement of where your pinstripe is, you can just take an X-Acto knife and just cut off that edge. And then obviously same at the other end. With the other end, I'm going to wait until both pieces are on, because I'm going to show you a little hack. It's not even a hack, it's just how I remove it, so you have that nice neat meat in the middle. Can you see what I'm doing? I'm going to bring you in closer. That's a bit better, isn't it? You can see. So then same for the other side. Just drag it along the edge of the V. So then for me, again, it's personal preference, but the best way to remove these, do not cut like this and this. You want to cut straight down the middle like this, so that when they then peel off, you have that perfect point. See? Now they just meet perfectly in the middle. So then you just repeat this whole process over all of the areas where you want your pinstripes to be. You can obviously change up the thickness of them or how many you have. There are no rules with this. This is just whatever you like, however you like it to look. So this is what each of these V's is going to look like for me. So I'm going to go and do the other two, and then I will come back and show you the white ones. Now I'm debating whether to put a pinstripe around the top and bottom. So like one here. So it would be like one like that. No, I don't think I like that. And then one at the bottom. See, that's annoying because I like the one at the bottom, but I don't like it at the top. So if I was to put this around, like, just to give you an idea, so it would look like that. But the top didn't really make sense. The top looked really weird because now I feel like I'm overthinking it. Let's see. Let's just put this on and see, because we can always take it back off. Sorry, I'm not in the frame at all, am I? There we go. Obviously, if I leave this on, I will need to tidy up the pinstripes that we've already put on. Oh, it's moments like this. I wish I could hear you shouting through the screen. I think I'm going to leave that on. I think I'm going to leave it on. I'm just going to tidy that up because obviously that was just a bit of a throw it on kind of job. But yeah. Yeah, I'm going to leave it on. Okay, let's put this on properly. Right, okay, I'm actually really happy that I did that. I actually really like that. Initially I was like, no, but no, I do actually quite like that. I like it with the pinstripes at the top and the bottom too. Right, so I promise we are actually going to do the white ones now. So yeah, right, these are 1 millimeter. So if I do them on top of the gold, sorry, if I do it on top of the V, then there would be one here. So 2, 4, 6. Or if I do it underneath, obviously then there'd be nothing at the bottom. Or if I do them underneath the V, then it will be 2, 4, 6. Or I can do one here. So in other words, just basically in between the V's. That's what I'm going to do. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So in other words, I cannot get this wrong because I have 8 that I need to put down and I only have 8 pinstripes. So unless I'm going to cut some more, which I'm not sure I can be bothered to do at this precise moment. So I'm going to give the gap maybe like that. Like I want to keep these pretty close together because I do, because that's how I want them to look. I'm sorry if you can hear my little feline friend. She always makes a cameo in my videos. At least this time it's just a verbal one. She's like, hello, everybody. Yeah, we can hear you. Oh, well, that was lucky. I know. And then same again with the slicing down the middle. That point is not meeting in the middle at all, so let's fix that. There we go, I'd say that's pretty much in the middle. So we're going to go in between the V. So that one was above. So 2, 4, 6. My brain can't work it out. I think we're just going to have to go with it, and it will just go how it goes. So it was directly above. So let's do, okay, so we're going to do this one here. I'm having to do this really, really gently because you probably just saw a minute ago. With most vinyl, or with tech wrap vinyl, it is almost like elasticy. Like, I don't know how to explain, like the texture. It's so you can pull it around and lift it and replace it. And I was just doing that with this one, and it broke. It didn't matter because it broke up here, so I'd already cut this off. But obviously we don't want it to do that in a spot where I actually need that pinstripe, because I only have enough as many as I want to place. That is how many I have cut. So we can't have them breaking. Uh-oh. Okay, my battery died, so we got cut off, but it's okay. We are picking it back up. So, no, let's start from here. Do this one. Oh, need to trim that. Once this is all finished and top coated, it is going to be the most adorable tumbler ever. Little Christmas Care Bears. How stinking cute are they? I'm probably making this look more difficult than it is. It's not difficult, it's just, it takes, like, you have to concentrate. But it's really not difficult. Okay, I just finished all of these pinstripes. I thought I was recording and I wasn't. But anyway, here we are. So this is what we are looking like with all the pinstripes on and trimmed to the point. All we need to do now is the final top coat to finish this off. So because of the epoxy reaction that I have had, I am not going to be using epoxy, and it genuinely saddens my heart to say that, because this would look unbelievable with a nice epoxy top coat on it, but it's not worth the health complications at the moment, unfortunately. So I am going to use an epoxy-free top coat, which I will be doing a review on. I'm still in the testing stages, which is why I haven't really mentioned anything about it on here just yet, but I will show you the finished result with the non-epoxy top coat on it. In fact, you will have already seen it at the beginning of this video because that is what will have been inserted at the beginning. So you can make up your own mind if you like it like that, but if you prefer epoxy, all you would need to do is use your regular epoxy and then this is done. So I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. I hope it's helped you. If it did, please give the video a like and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. I would love to have you, and I will see you in the next one.